But first, let's do a couple of other clips, because there's one here from yesterday's doings in Parliament. This is Desmond Swain MP, one of the Tories who managed to survive the cull of the last election. And he made rather a good joke about David Lammy, who, of course, has reversed his position on Donald Trump. He now supports Donald Trump in everything that he does, despite previously calling him a white supremacist and a racist. Here it is.
Does the Secretary of State regret recanting the original views that he expressed in assessing Trump? And can I urge him that when the time is right, and it certainly isn't any time now, he will consider following the example of Archbishop Cranmer by plunging the offending hand first into the flame?
Foreign Secretary.
This is a serious debate and a serious discussion, and you know, I've said in a sense that's old news. There's so much news before us, and there's so much history to be forged. It requires diplomacy, it requires friendship, and it requires us understanding who the real threats are. And those real threats are those autocracies in the world that could do tremendous damage over the coming years, and I've always recognised that.
Oh, yeah. Have you always recognised that when you first had a go at Donald Trump and last time he was president? Also, that idiot over his left shoulder, Steve Doughty, I've had trouble with him in the past, sitting there like a nodding dog, nodding his head. You know, this is a guy who was, shall we say, hauled over the coals by the Parliamentary Standards Committee and the police when it turned out he'd ordered some temazepam, I think it was, from a friend of his during COVID because he was anxious. It's apparently an illegal thing to do, but he was let off.
This government's making me anxious.
Yes.
But I don't require meds for it just yet, I'm pleased to say.
Mm. Oh, well, apparently we've got the clip of what Lamy said about Donald Trump before. Let's have a look at that. That would be good.
We're marching because we are standing in solidarity with many Americans and communicating our huge, huge disapproval with this president. A president who's said awful things during London's lowest moments of terrorism, who has attacked our democratically elected Mayor Sadiq Khan, a president who has retweeted far-right hatred of Britain First, the hatred that saw the death of Joe Cox. For all of those reasons and so much more, people are coming out in droves today to make it absolutely clear that Donald Trump is not welcome in our country.
I welcome the election of Donald Trump. We look forward to working with Donald Trump at this tough geopolitical moment, recognising that 77 million people voted for Donald Trump. He got more votes from young people, African Americans, Latinos than the Republican Party have got for some considerable time. We have a special relationship with the United States. It doesn't matter who's in the White House or number 10, and we look forward to working with Donald Trump over the next 4 years.
How can you take these people seriously? Hypocrites, one and all.
I'm not very happy with you this morning, Mike.
Why is that?
Because during one of those clips from Lamy, he mentioned the name of the man who is the Mayor of London.
Yes.
And if there's anything guaranteed to trigger me this early in the morning, it's hearing his name.
Yes.
Because he's another Labour politician
Yes.
who does my crunch.
But he's also done a reverse ferret, old Sadiq Khan. He's now said that Donald Trump's welcome to come to London. In fact, he's looking forward to seeing him, apparently.
Yes.
If he stands next to him, Donald Trump won't even see him, he's that small.
Well, Donald Trump be going, Sadiq, who never heard of him.
Yeah, he would just look over that way and go, what's that? What's that? Oh, sorry, that's the guy down there. Big story on the front page of The Sun today, and it's also on the front page of the Daily Mail. A 19-year-old killer who plotted a school massacre. This is a story that I've sort of slightly forgotten about. There's a teenager who's on trial right now. Basically, police said he was prevented from murdering more victims in his old primary school, fortunately. However, he did admit to killing his mother and two siblings at their home in Luton last year. Terrible story, this.
Horrendous. Nicholas Prosper, 19 years old.
Right.
Comes from Luton. Apparently, as a youngster, he was forever in his bedroom, playing violent video games and expressing deeply concerning views about children, paedophilia and violence.
Yeah.
So much so that one game platform, forgive me if I haven't got the terminology right, kind of locked him out, booted him out of it.
Yeah.
But he didn't appear to come to the notice of the authorities, and it appears that he was allowed to hide away in his room forever, endlessly, hoovering up these violent images.
Right. And being affected by them.
Yeah, and tragically turning into a violent monster himself, killing his mum and brother and sister. Now, what fortunately happened, and I hope people don't think that's too distasteful, me using that word, what fortunately happened was that the police discovered the bodies. They were called by a neighbour at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So the police screech round to the house, find all these victims, the 3 dead victims, and of course, no 19-year-old son or however old he was.
Right.
They then put up a huge scream up to find this kid, this 19-year-old, and they swamped the area with officers.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, he was found.
They apprehended him, yeah.
Yes, and when they searched nearby, they found a shotgun that he'd only bought the day before, illegally.
Yes.
Questions about who sold him that shotgun.
Yeah.
I hope they get answered. I really want to know, because he didn't have a licence, who sold him that shotgun, and 30 shotgun cartridges. His intention was to go to his former primary school and commit a massacre.
Thank goodness. I mean, and that is when you know the police have done their job, and that is why, and you often say that as well, Peter, that there are some police, particularly the armed police, who are very, very good at what they do.
I can guarantee you that all the officers that swamped that area looking for that man, not all of them had guns.
No.
I bet the majority of them weren't armed.
Yeah.
Some might have had a taser, but I reckon that some of them will only have been armed with a baton,
Funnily
maybe
enough,
an incapacitant spray.
I watched that Panorama programme last night on the Southport situation, which was searing and awful and horrible just to watch it. It's in the papers as well today. We'll talk about it later on in the show. But the bravery of the police who went in to find this scumbag who was in murdering children. I mean, incredible work they were doing. And so I don't want to ever think that we don't praise the police when they get it right. It's just that they have managers and they have, you know, sort of superintendents who run the place like it's not really actually working for the people.
Chiefs.
Exactly.
Pathetic chiefs. And it's a well-worn phrase.
Yeah.
But police officers run towards situations that we would run away from.
Exactly.
And for that, they have my unending respect and gratitude.
And mine. And mine. We haven't mentioned this because it's going to be talked about later on in the show. Peter Bleksley, thank you very much indeed for the last hour.